This year's GAI theme is sustainability. Joining us now is Saleem Ali. He's the author of the book, Earthly Order, How Natural Laws Define Human Life. He's also a professor of energy and the environment at the University of Delaware. Thank you so much for joining us.
A pleasure.
Well, let's start with solar energy. Certainly we've seen solar farms, solar power on homes and businesses. Is that the right answer for a mega metropolis like Mexico City?
Well, with any kind of solar or wind power, you need also some kind of base load support because solar and wind are generated sporadically. So you would need some kind of base load power generation to supplement the solar and the wind, or you would need to have massive battery infrastructure to store the energy when the wind and the sun are not available. So I think they are part of the solution, but they can't be the entire solution in the short term. You will need also to have supplement from other sources, which could be hydropower, they could be fossil fuels, there could be nuclear, other sources, but baseload power is also needed.
When it comes to sustainability, what are the best alternative energy sources, and then which are the most popular or showing the most growth right now?
Well, solar and wind have been growing at about the same rate. And there are models which suggest that by 2050, solar will be slightly more than wind in terms of the profile, but both are expected to take on about the same percentage. But that is still considerably less than half of the total energy generation capacity possible, even with the most optimistic models. So we have to still diversify. We have to think about other sources of clean power, and specifically hydropower is going to be important. We also need to think about potentially marine energy, and we need to think about energy conservation. I think that's really important also. We waste a lot of energy too.
Professor, I want to get to marine energy in a moment, but I also want to ask you about all the extreme weather events we're seeing around the world, the droughts, the flooding. Is there a way to harness or take advantage of these type of extreme weather events for energy?
Well, it's very difficult to harness the energy of a hurricane, for example, out in the open ocean. The infrastructure needed just does not exist currently, and it would be very difficult to manage. And also in the far out open ocean, there are concerns about that kind of energy infrastructure impacting marine life and so on. So most of the efforts at harnessing these extreme weather event kind of energy sources would be in coastal areas. Certainly offshore wind could be helpful. Offshore wind can harness a lot of energy, and we're developing a lot of offshore wind infrastructure, and extreme weather events could provide that. But then we need battery storage when you've got so much of that generation and you need to store it. So you need to supplement storage capacity.
We have just a little bit of time left, but I want you to touch on marine energy very quickly. Why is it considered by some as the most sustainable source of energy?
Well, it's very energy dense, meaning we use this term energy density in terms of how much energy can be generated per unit area. And in that regard, it's more dense than solar and wind by several orders of magnitude. So it's very promising, but the problem is, again, with the infrastructure being so difficult to develop. And right now, there are only two major marine energy facilities. One is in Scotland, one is in Portugal. And it will require a lot of effort to make sure also it doesn't interfere with biodiversity. But where it could be effective is, for example, using the marine power for desalination of water, where you can directly connect the two.
All right, Professor Saleem Ali, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.